love to know your journey of how you went from corporate real estate mogul to intuitive coach, essentially guiding hundreds of people into higher versions of themselves.
Yeah.
A little bit about that journey.
Thank you for the question. When I was super young in commercial real estate, I was sent out, I was with a big national company, I was sent out to California for sales training. And one of the speakers on the last day of this 3-day training recommended to all of us, there was like 200 of us young brokers across the country, he recommended this particular course that I would call like leadership training, but it's very introspective leadership training. So I went and I wrote it down, and when I got back to Denver, where I was living at the time, I went and checked it out. It seemed amazing. There was some explanation about how our past, our upbringing, how much it impacts our lives and how we operate in the world. But long story short, I didn't have the money to do it at that time, even though it was not that much money. I was broke as a young broker. And so 7 years later, I was now 9 years into my career, and I had some money, and this thing kept coming back up into my field. I had met several clients of mine that had become close friends that had done this leadership training, several friends that I highly respected, and just had this, all of them had this like extra level of joy and freedom in their, you know, who they are in the world. And I was at a point in my career where I knew I was very good at what I do and had some money in the bank, but how do I get boatloads of money in the bank, right? So I just got on the website, got online, signed up for this course. And in that 3-day training, it blew my mind so deeply. It helped me see the outside of the box that I had been living inside of. So I was now sitting outside of the box, seeing how much my, I'll call it reality, was being controlled by my upbringing and sitting in my subconscious mind, and which translates to the filter that I had been living through. And I call that reality. This is what we humans do. We don't know how much these things control us. So long story short, I went several years into that, deeper and deeper and deeper levels of training and understanding the human mind and limitations of it. And way back then, I got so deep in it, I started leading some courses. I helped building the courses, coaching people in specific types of things like communication and the subconscious mind. About 6 or 7 years of consistently doing that type of work, it helped me gain such deep understanding of myself and offered me such freedom, because the deeper I know myself, the deeper and farther I can see outside of myself. This is like the best way I can describe it. It's an unfolding. It's a remembering of who I am. And this is true for everyone. The deeper we can understand ourselves and why we operate the way we do in the world, the less control those things have over us and the more free we become. So I had just, the journey continued, and then I got into, plant medicines and deepening layers of myself. This is the best way I can put it. And I just got to a point about 4 or 5 years ago, where I really started feeling a responsibility to share my journey in such a way that I can contribute to others so that they can achieve the levels of freedom, the levels of groundedness, and the levels of integrity and love and operating from the heart that I had achieved over these 15 years of me studying myself and the others and the human mind and spirit, source, God, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, okay, so you've been on a 15-year journey.
Essentially 15 years ago is when this all started for me. And it started with, how do I get more money in the bank? And success, business success. And I very quickly realized that I had been, in that very first a course that I took. Very quickly realized how much I had been victimizing myself by blaming others, blaming things outside of myself for my lack of success. And at that time, success meant how much money do I have in the bank?
Money.
Yeah.
And that's, would you find that's a common story that particularly men carry, that they tie their worth, their value to money?
Yeah. Yes, I think so. I mean, I think entrepreneurs in general, like my very first job, I was a pizza cook at 16 years old, and I spent about 2 months doing that. And then the school dance was coming up, and I wanted to take the girl I had a crush on, and my manager wasn't going to allow me to have the night off. And I was like, what is this work world? People can tell me what I can and can't do. No thanks. So I quit. I took the girl to the dance, and I've never had a job where I have a boss, a manager ever since. Like, just entrepreneurism and business ownership and creation in that sense has been a part of me my entire life. So it's amazing.
Yeah, okay, that's great. And so you've been on this 15-year journey. Had I met you before the 15 years, what would my interaction have been? Like your old self that you have shedded?
Great question. So this is going to get into the world of authenticity, which is a big topic of all over Instagram, and a lot of people are talking about this concept of authenticity and it being the highest measured frequency, vibrational frequency that we have as humans, the highest measured emotion. Before all of this, you would have interacted with a very similar person that you're interacting with me right now. Happy, jovial, always looking to
jokes.
Yeah, the jokes. Always help. You're looking to find ways to help people.
You've always had that in you. That's your thread.
Yeah, and what you would not have sensed, unless maybe you, but what most people would not have sensed is what's going on inside. Is I was harboring a lot of anger, a lot of frustration, resentment toward whatever, right? Just such a waste of energy for my mind to just be spinning on things while pretending, or not pretending, but while trying to be, happy, loving person on the outside.
Now, where did that anger and resentment come from? What was that?
It's probably a mix of, there was a lot of chaos growing up in my household. Did not come from money. We were, lower middle class. Both my parents working so hard to put food on the table for me and my 3 brothers, 4 little rugrats, all under the age of 5 years old and under at one point. I can't imagine the amount of stress and anxiety that must have caused to oh my God, how are we gonna feed these 4 dudes? Just absorbing a lot of that. And luckily, when I was in 7th grade, I think, about 12 years old, I started lifting weights with my older brother, and that's been a part of my life since then. I've been very much a person that is very connected to the body and movement, and how we move energy through the body, through movement, which is a very, very key part of my spiritual journey. Another story for another podcast. I think that's probably where it came from. Just upbringing, learned behavior, chaos in the household, survival.
Scarcity of not having enough, worry.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's interesting. What's your earliest memory of trauma?
My earliest memory, one of my earliest memories of a traumatic experience. This might be the earliest one, actually. And this also correlates to what I mentioned a minute ago, authenticity. So, and the person who you would have experienced happy, jovial while being angry and resented in my mind. When I was about 3 years old, I found an individual staple somewhere on the floor. And I thought, ooh, I'm gonna set up a booby trap. These things I saw on, the cartoons growing up. So for some reason, our kitchen way back then was carpet. So I put the staple right in front of my fridge. I put the staple down into the carpet and back up. So it was sticking up like this, kind of hidden in the carpet fibers. And then I go off and do my thing. About an hour later, from the other room, I hear my mom scream, And I run in there and see what happened. Well, she had stepped on the staple, and my dad took her to their bathroom in their bedroom. I followed him back there, and I just saw my mom sitting on the toilet, my dad pulling the staple out with a pair of tweezers from her foot. My mom was crying. And in that moment, I told myself, oh my God, I just hurt Mom. I cannot hurt anyone. I have to be nice. This is what I told myself.
How old were you?
like 3, something like that. So this is an example of how a traumatic experience happens. I told myself in that moment, I can never hurt anyone. I have to be nice. And however long or quickly it takes to then have the mind move that into the subconscious mind, from the conscious to the conscious mind, so from the conscious mind to the subconscious mind, that was a belief that I had created, and then it gets put in the subconscious mind and it runs in the background. It becomes something I'm unaware of, and it's now a filter that I am seeing my reality through. I'm a nice guy, and it's very good to be a nice person, right? Because it started from something traumatic. Nice guy, it has limitations. I don't have any choice but to be a nice guy, because I don't know where that trait of mine came from. It helps me be productive in the world, but it's limiting because it came from a traumatic experience. Through my journey of looking inward and understanding myself deeper and my subconscious beliefs, like that as an example, I started getting clear on how these things control my physical reality completely. And what I had done at that point when I discovered that is I got in communication with my mom and asked her if she remembers this at all, because I remember it like it was yesterday, very vividly. And I always tell people I work with, the memories that you can come up with that you are very vivid, those are the ones that has had a very big impact on your life, whether they be positive or negative. Those are the ones that to really look at. So I brought the conversation back up with my mom. She did not remember, obviously. I did very much. And that was good for me to hear that she didn't remember it, so it wasn't as traumatic to her as it was to me. But just bringing it up and getting it out of the space, out of my, it clearly was now moved from my subconscious mind to my conscious mind, but I did something about it. I got in communication, brought it back up, got that communication or that story with my mom complete for me. She didn't even remember it. There was nothing to get complete for her, but for me it was very important because I got in communication and was no longer holding on to, oh my God, was that also traumatic for her or whatever. I got it complete for myself, which created a space for me to create a deeper connection with my mom.
Yeah.
And so that's just one example of how I thought in my past that I was being authentic in terms of being happy and joyful and joking and being helpful to people, not understanding that I had so much anger and resentment and things like that running in the background, victimizing myself.
Yeah.
But the more of these types of examples I could uncover for myself, subconscious beliefs that I became aware of, and then I got in communication and cleared out the energy of the stories that I was holding on to, the deeper levels of authenticity I was able to achieve. So
yeah, so what I'm hearing is 3-year-old little boy, little Matt Brower, 3-year-old, hurt mom indirectly.
Yeah.
And from that point, you were like, I'm never gonna hurt anyone ever again. And I don't ever want to see somebody in pain
right.
for my action. Like that's what you're thinking from 3 years old onward. So how did that show up again, like later in life, like in middle school, in high school, like that, like how did that affect you negatively?
Yeah. So one of the things that our subconscious minds do is, and this is all this is all what we choose before we incarnate and get stuffed into this meat suit, right? Our human body. These karmic lessons that we have yet to learn or work through. The way it occurs when a subconscious belief is running in the background, and we've all heard the term subconscious limiting belief. You can see why I have to be nice, I can't hurt anyone is limiting, because it came from a traumatic experience. I don't have a choice to be anything other than nice, which you can see in business or sometimes in a relationship, or maybe when you're protecting yourself or somebody, creating boundaries. Being nice isn't always the answer, right? But if I have no choice but to be nice because it's a subconscious belief, that's limiting. Does that make sense?
Yeah, because you don't want to have to. You don't want to be forced to be nice if the situation doesn't warrant it, but your default operation would go right into that, even if the situation wasn't needing that
right.
in the moment.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah. So the way the subconscious mind works is, until I learn that story, what will happen is, you've probably heard the term belief loop, subconscious belief loop. So what the subconscious mind will do is create a storyline so that lesson, until learned, will keep showing up for me to step into something different. And it'll show up in a different storyline with different characters. So this first one was related to my mom and putting a stable. Another one was related to, maybe some kids down the street that me and my 3 brothers, didn't get along quite well with the kids at the other end of the street, and just interactions around that, and with them, just kid squabbles, until I learned the lesson of the limiting belief and how that got created. It keeps showing up, and then once I clear the energy of it, it stopped showing up in my story. And now, yes, I'm still nice. I still might still take every action to never hurt anyone.
Yeah.
And when I need to, I have no problem not being nice, always being loving, but sometimes not being nice is appropriate when someone else's ego is trying to dominate or negotiate a business deal based on whatever. Sometimes nice guy is not going to get the point across, or certainly sometimes in helping be a intuitive guide and mentor, harsh reflections sometimes are necessary. Having uncontrollable nice guy come out all the time, that's not going to serve anyone, right?
So what I'm hearing is that moment when you were 3 years old kind of set you on this inauthentic path, because you realized you didn't want to hurt anyone ever again, because you saw the pain that it caused your mother. Mm-hmm. And so you became, what I'm hearing is the people pleaser, the nice guy, making sure that everyone always felt happy and joyful around you. And I'm just wondering, as you went through middle and high school up until your early adulthood, how did that impact you negatively? Did people take advantage of you? Like, how did that show up for you?
So the way it impacted me, the way nice guy Matt impacted me negatively, as you can see, this is it's a good way to be in the world, right? Nice and loving. The way it impacted me negatively is in the world of boundaries. So I would constantly be a yes man. People ask me for help all the time, and happy to give help all the time. And when I don't have any control, as much control over not being that way, you can see how it becomes challenging to set boundaries with people in every area, in business, in relationship, every area. You can see how that plays out. One way I overcame that once I discovered this, that I'll just share really quick, is I've been in commercial real estate brokerage for 25 years, and CEOs, CFOs, they hire me and trust in me to negotiate on their behalf, and you have to be a lot of times very strong in when you're dealing with certain personalities, where there was this one, once I had this limiting belief cleared out, the nice guy limiting belief cleared out, there was this one landlord in particular who was very dominating and domineering to everyone. This is just how he operated in the world, which is also a limiting way of him operating in the world. It's all he knows how to do. There was one meeting in particular that I knew was going to be very abrasive because it was like the 1 yard line negotiation to get the deal across the finish line. So I was sitting on one side of the conference table, my client was next to me, and there's a very large biotech company, and the CEO and the CFO were sitting right next to me. The landlord and his team was on the other side of the table, and the landlord was standing up, leaning over the table, pointing his finger in my face, yelling. I can't remember what about, doesn't matter. And I just watched him, calm, cool, collected. And when he was done doing this, I said, "Are you done now? Can we communicate?" So it tripped up his, whoa, he never gets a reaction like that. He sits down, and then we actually communicate, finalize the deal negotiation. Nice guy Matt, I was not angry or abrasive with him, but nice guy Matt was not at the table. Grounded, calm, strong, powerful Matt was at the table. That tripped up his ego and then caused him to just shut that down or calm that down. We got the negotiation complete, and we left the meeting, and both of my clients, both of the gentlemen were like, "How the fuck did you do that? Oh my God." So that's an example of overcoming a limiting belief like that and having...
You have to be nice to everybody.
Exactly.
Or you're going to hurt them, or yeah.
Yeah. He clearly, the other guy clearly was in like wounded inner child tantrum mode, screaming at us, at me, and for me not to react to it in the way that he's used to people reacting to it. He didn't know what to do with it. And this is how you can be really, really productive in the world, by bringing grounded, powerful, calm energy everywhere you go. Yeah.
That's beautiful. Thanks for sharing that.
Yeah.
So I've heard you talk a lot about authenticity. What exactly does that mean?
So authenticity, a lot of people are talking in the spiritual world and the consciousness community are talking about how authenticity is the now measured highest vibration frequency that the human body emulates. And someone recently, was able to measure a bunch of human emotions with several thousand people, and the highest vibrational frequency was authenticity. What does that mean? It's connected to operating at deeper and deeper levels of integrity with yourself, operating at deeper and deeper levels from the heart, and it's an unfolding process. To me, it's in the world of clearing out these subconscious beliefs, discovering them, getting to know yourself deeper, moving the subconscious beliefs into the conscious mind, and taking action, most of the time in communication, to clear the energy of those stories and emotions that we're holding in our subconscious mind. The more we do that, the deeper levels of authenticity we can achieve. That's maybe the best way I can articulate that right now.
Yeah. So in like a simple way, would you say it's like people, there's maybe a mismatch between what they feel and think and what they say and do? There's a mismatch there?
Yeah, maybe that's a good way to put it. And being authentic or inauthentic is not good or bad. It's not that people are choosing, well, maybe some people choose to be inauthentic, but it's not in that world. being authentic. People are authentic at the level of awareness that they currently are operating at, the level of the depths that they know themselves. That's their level of authenticity that they're operating at. That's the vibrational frequency that they're putting out. The deeper they look inward and discover the filters, the stories that have been impacting their lives, the filters they're looking through and calling reality, the more filters that can be cleared out through getting to know yourself at deeper and deeper levels, which all lives in the subconscious mind, deeper levels of authenticity emerge naturally. And a lot of people, I think, what I see is a lot of people use meditation and visioning practices to retrain the subconscious mind. And yes, this works. It's part of the process. It's very much a longer period of time that it takes to reprogram the subconscious mind through neuroscience. It works. It's just a much longer process to do that than discover what events happened in your life that caused you to create a subconscious belief that's now running in the background that we are unaware of until we become aware of them. And then we take the action to cut the energy, remove the energy that they have on us. And the more we do that, the more impactful and faster meditations become. Vision work becomes, manifestation becomes. This process that I call unwinding the mind and frees our soul from all of the stuff, the monkey mind. The deeper we go into this journey, the quieter the monkey mind becomes, because there's not all of these things running in the background in our subconscious mind controlling our reality, and this is deeper levels of authenticity that are achieved. Okay. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So what I'm hearing is, as we move towards more authenticity, it's about removing those filters, those layers of the limiting beliefs. The limiting beliefs are causing the filters.
Correct.
And then that's where one might be coming across as inauthentic because the filters aren't showing their true self.
Yeah, so it's coming across as inauthentic. To them, they are being authentic, and they are being authentic at the depth of their awareness of their subconscious mind is maybe a good way to.
It's not conscious.
It's not. Yeah, it's less conscious. It's unconscious because they're unaware of it. So, and I see a lot, like there's a lot of healers, a lot of people offering beautiful things to help everyone rise, right? We're all just walking each other home. It's beautiful. Everyone has a place. And people are authentically offering gifts based on their own truth, their own authenticity. And until, as we do this type of work of getting to know our subconscious beliefs at deeper and deeper levels, that truth and that authenticity, that level of truth and authenticity is going to be at a certain vibration, certain frequency. And this is a never-ending journey, by the way. Like everyone on earth, it's a never-ending journey inward. Like I always say, I cannot wait to discover the next subconscious belief that's running in the background that I'm unaware of yet, to achieve an even deeper level of authenticity and higher vibration. That's why we're here living this human experience.
Yeah, beautiful. So what would, in your own journey of rewiring your brain from the limiting belief that you had to be nice to everybody and be a, pushover, essentially, what's the process you took yourself through to rewire yourself from that?
Specifically the nice guy? Yeah, it was the conversation that I had with my mom about, I remembered this story that happened, that I put the staple in the carpet and hurt mom, and how traumatic of an experience that was for me. I brought it up with my mom and I said, Mom, do you remember this happening? Like, I don't think I'm making it up. It's very vivid memory for me. And she clearly didn't remember because it was not that traumatic for her. But the fact that I brought it up, was able to have a conversation with her about it, expressed what I discovered about myself, that, oh my God, it caused me to be, feel the need to always be nice and never hurt anyone, how much that had impacted who I was in the world. And hear her response of, oh my God, I don't even remember that. I'm like, that I don't hold any anger or resentment for you at all about that. Like, stop doing that to yourself, kind of a thing. To me, to have my mom tell me that, it was really very healing for me to hear, and for me to express the deep apology I had for hurting her when I was 3 years old. Even though it's like a really cute example.
Yeah. So that healed that trauma.
That healed that trauma.
Just a conversation.
It literally, that conversation had me release the whole story, because now that story for me is complete. I no longer am holding on to the energy of that story. I cleared it out through communication with mom, and now even that little story, that little conversation brought me and my mom closer together. You can see how beautiful of a process this is, you know, and that's one cute little example. I mean, there's so many people, and even me, I have examples that are very traumatic experiences. People are doing awful things to each other. People have had awful things done to them. And this is all very impactful for how we're showing up in the world and in our reality, how we're interacting with the world. Mm-hmm. The process of learning what those things are, getting in communication with the other characters of those particular stories to get the stories complete. This is how we can achieve deeper and deeper levels of authenticity extremely fast, compared to using meditation and visioning practices that retrain the subconscious mind over time. Again, all of it's important, all of it's beautiful. Everyone who's offering whatever gifts that they have, keep going. This process, this process that I do with my clients, people that work with me, I would say it's an extremely fast track way to achieve these deeper levels of authenticity and raise the vibration much, much faster, and have meditation practices and visioning and manifestation become that much more powerful and effective.
What's another example in your life, maybe as an adult, where you had a traumatic experience that created a filter and a limiting belief, and then you were able to rewire that through your process? So maybe something more deeper, more traumatic.
Okay, so now I'm in Colorado. I just graduated college in Arizona. I moved to Colorado for what I thought was going to be the summer before I moved back to Arizona, and got into real estate there. I moved to Colorado. I moved in with my cousin who had been living there. Now I'm her roommate, and it was my understanding that we were going to live in her apartment for like 3 months together and split the costs of that, and then move back to Arizona together. And the miscommunication was that no, she actually was only going to spend about 2 weeks there once I got there, and she moved to Arizona that quickly. So now 22-year-old Matt is stuck with this 2-bedroom apartment, not having hardly any income. I think I was working as a manager at Abercrombie & Fitch right when I moved to Colorado. And now I'm faced with, oh my God, I have all these bills to pay, and I'm screwed. How am I going to do this? And this, by the way, this is the very first time I ever moved out of the house. I lived with mom until I moved to Colorado, and now I'm on my own. So now I'm really on my own because now I'm in this apartment, have to pay all these bills and having almost no income. So what I told myself in that traumatic experience is, oh my God, I have no support. I am alone. I need to figure this shit out to survive. Survival is very different than thriving. Surviving, very different than thriving. So what I told myself then, the traumatic experience, is I'm alone, I have to survive, I have to get in action and work my ass off to make money to get the bills paid. And that was very good for me because as I get into commercial real estate brokerage several months after that, being tenacious and driven and hard work ethic is very important. For years, I was the first one to show up at the office and the last one to leave the office. I worked so many hours, I grinded out, and it caused me to be, quite successful quite quickly. And I was exhausted, and this is one way to be successful in the world, but it is certainly not balanced. And that's not the only way that this can be achieved. So once I discovered that traumatic experience that caused me to be very hardworking and driven and, young broker wanting to take over the world and make millions, that survival mechanism and the place I was operating from survival became limiting because I didn't know it comes down to it's an energetic blind spot that I'm unaware of.
Yeah, and also I think you mentioned earlier that you grew up in maybe not poverty, but you grew up in a scarcity mindset.
Yep.
So was that coupled or just kind of
Absolutely. And going back to what I said earlier about how these subconscious beliefs run in loops and the different versions of the same storyline are going to show up throughout our lives with different characters. When I was super young, I could probably come up with several examples of how scary it was to watch my parents work so hard and we could barely, put food on the table to survive. And this was yet another example of that same subconscious belief showing up again for me. Oh shit, I need to work my ass off to pay the bills and survive. So until I learned that lesson of how these things run in the background that we call reality, it's just going to keep showing up. Thankfully, through this work, I was able to see it, address it, and let that story go.
that you had to be something or make something of yourself or do it in a short amount of period or
Right. Yeah.
And that was back to tying your worth to money.
Yep, exactly. And then the other thing I'll mention about that, specific to money and specific to creating things in the world, like I said, being very driven, tenacious, working a ton, grinding out to cause results is one way to do it. In my experience, the deeper levels of authenticity I've been able to achieve, which translates directly to the deeper levels of groundedness that I am as a soul, grounded into myself. When you become that grounded, it translates to being able to be extremely present in all the time and with other people. That becomes magnetic. The higher the vibration of authenticity becomes, the more magnetic you become. And I think that's because people know what they're dealing with all the time. With somebody that is grounded, their energy field is never shifting, it's safe, it's warm. People want to be around that, right? So grinding becomes less needed when you become more magnetic and you want to create something in the world. It's all about just telling the story and having people get so excited about what you're up to, and people can trust a very grounded person that's, deeply authentic because they know exactly what they're dealing with. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So the grind becomes less necessary when the magnetism gets turned up.
And what would you say with, amongst the clients that you work with, obviously without sharing someone's personal story, but what is a common thread you see when people are working on their authenticity?
Common thread, I would say imbalance is very much a common theme for a lot of people that are not as closely aware of this type of work. Somebody might be wildly financially abundant and produce so much abundance in that part of their life, and an imbalance could look like they have no friends, they have no deep relationships, or maybe their marriage or their romantic life is just lacking and they can't figure out why. It's not just possible, it's actually all that exists. There's abundance in every form all the time, all around us. When we can achieve abundance in one area, but not in other areas, there's a block that's happening. There's an energetic block in another area that's happening. And some of the examples of, that I've shared about myself earlier, these are the types of things that are the blocks for all of us. Whenever there's an imbalance in an area, that's the process to look through.
Yeah. So the process to clear that is to really go inward and try to find out the root that is causing the behavior.
Yes, exactly. Yep, the process to create abundance, complete balance in all areas is I always say, all of the answers are inside. There are no answers outside of yourself. For those that are looking outside of yourself, it's for answers about the universe or about reality or about God or whatever. All of those answers are inside. You've heard the term as above, so below, as within, so without. Through my own journey, all I've ever done through this 15-year journey is understand myself at deeper and deeper levels. The more I know myself, the more I can see and know everyone else, because at the end of the day, we are all one soul. We are all source at the very top, right? And we can go into quantum physics and neuroscience of it all and to explain all the different examples of that being true. There are so many examples of proof of that we are all one soul. And it's all based in science, the earth science, quantum physics, quantum mechanics, neuroscience, that all of these smart people have been able to prove so far with the measuring tools and the things that we have access to so far. It's the same exact science of consciousness and the science of spirit. And I'm really excited because the gap is just about to connect. I don't know how much longer, but especially the neuroscientists today, they are leaning deeper into how much the mind is controlling our physical reality. And I'm really excited to watch how this is all transpiring, because more and more people and scientists are opening their minds to seeing how it's all the same. So it's all based in physics, neuroscience. Our minds are very powerful things. They're not just very powerful things, they're literally creating everything that we are experiencing.
Yeah, I love quantum mechanics.
Yeah.
Going down that rabbit hole.
Yeah.
What you mentioned, plant medicine.
Mm-hmm.
How is that a complement to, the process that you take people through in your own inner journey work?
Great question. So how has plant medicine been a complement to my process and my own journey work?
Yeah, and what plant medicine specifically?
So I consider, one of the things I say a lot is ayahuasca is the biggest miracle that we have access to on this planet. I strongly believe that. It's been a very important partner of mine for several years. I am not someone that sits with it and drinks a lot, because I think there's a misconception that some people have that you drink ayahuasca and you see things. Ayahuasca shows you things, some of these things about how something happened in the past, and now that's what there is to heal. A lot of people, I think, have the misconception that when you purge, that's the healing. Okay, it's now out. This is not the case. So some people get trapped in this loop of drinking ayahuasca just constantly, a couple times a year, and they do this for years, and they think that that's healing them. Some things, when we see them and how much they've controlled our lives, like something that happened in the past, it does heal. Just the knowing of it does clear out the energy. Most things, all that ayahuasca is doing is showing us what there is to heal, and we have to then integrate or take the action to do the work to actually heal it, to release the story fully. So this is why I don't sit with ayahuasca as often as I think a lot of people do. Most of my journey has been integration, and integration means a lot of different things for a lot of different people. To me, integration is seeing the things that ayahuasca shows us, or sometimes it's in meditation, or sometimes it's literally in a conversation with someone, like a reflection session with an intuitive guide, and taking the action that's necessary to clear the story, get it complete. To me, most often is in the world of communication, so that both sides, myself and that other person, can feel completely heard, completely held, completely loved, and that story that exists between two people can be completed, and we can rewrite the story. That, to me, releases the energy of that story fully. That's completion, and that's integration.
Yeah, so let's go a little deeper on that. So back to your own story of you moved to Colorado with your roommate, she bails in 2 weeks, you're stuck with all the bills, traumatic experience. Say you did ayahuasca and purged that story out. What would be the integration complement after? How would that look for you if you were coaching yourself?
Yeah. Okay, so that particular story, I felt, the other character in that story was my cousin / roommate, right? There was a miscommunication, a misunderstanding. I moved to Colorado, I moved in with her. I had it that we were gonna split the bills for 3 months. She had it that I'm moving there and she's moving back much sooner. So to me, at that time, I don't remember, but I probably made up that, oh my God, she's totally screwing me. Holy shit, I need to figure this out. I probably didn't make her wrong for it, because again, at that time, I was being nice guy Matt, and I didn't want to upset her. Yeah. See how insidious all this is?
You're like, it's okay. No
yeah,
problem.
Boundaries, all of that. Like, yeah, I just took it on, and I had to figure it out. But just getting in communication, once I saw that occurred and that had so much control over how I was operating in business and in life, getting in communication with her around what transpired when I moved to Colorado and how she left and how that impacted me and how it did cause a bit of a separation of our connection. Like, this was my closest cousin. I have a lot of cousins, a very large family. This was my closest cousin. We were the same age, best friend type of connection. And it really impacted our relationship because I felt deceived or put off or whatever. So getting in communication, being honest and honoring my emotions around it, being true with her around, wow, I really felt like you screwed me there. That's something that I felt I needed to say, to be honest with myself and not being just nice, and while being responsible for, this was nothing more than a miscommunication. But at the time I felt like and this is me having a conversation with her. At the time, I felt like you totally screwed me, left me with all these bills, and that caused me to remove myself a bit from your field. And now having the awareness that I do, being able to come to that conversation, taking full responsibility of, wow, I can see what a miscommunication that was. And I removed myself from your field because I felt hurt by you. I'm sorry I did that. How was that for you? And then hearing whatever she needed to say to me, because I'm sure she was quite hurt that I wanted less to do with her after that. You see how that type of communication, bringing love and forgiveness and compassion to the communication, allows it to get complete, and it creates an opening for a new story to be written, a new connection to be made, more deeper levels of love to be created.
Yeah. And what I'm hearing is you taking responsibility for blaming her at the time, saying this wasn't your fault, it was a miscommunication, you're not responsible for my experience and my reaction, I'm sorry.
Yes, this is very important. Yeah. So when I first started this inward journey, and I became aware of how much these things control our lives, there were so many opportunities for me to get in communication about this thing and that thing and that thing, and like tons, right? So I'm a baby in all this, so I would call and have a conversation with somebody about something. Many times it wouldn't land exactly how I wanted it, so it took a lot of practice. Some things to get them fully complete and cleared out, it took 3 or 4 conversations, calling again and again. Hey, that didn't like land as exactly how I wanted it to. Can I bring? Let's talk more about this. And over time, in that practice, it became so easy to have these types of conversations, for me to bring 100% responsibility to every conversation and communication that I have with anyone all the time. And I got addicted to it because then I started to feel how much freedom and free flow of energy that was moving through me was available. And so much deeper levels of joy and energy flow and happiness and authenticity became available. I got addicted to it because I'm like, where else do I have something in my life to clean up with someone I'm getting in communication? Because now I have started to master communication, and it's so easy for me. So a lot of times with the people I work with, some of the work is when they discover these things in their life. One of the scariest things to do is to have these conversations and get in communication. So a lot of times I will help offer a way to approach a conversation, bringing lightness and love to it instead of it being so scary and dramatic. Nothing needs to be scary and dramatic. You can bring light and love and joy to any of this stuff.
What is ayahuasca? How does it work? How does it help people?
Oh, wow. What is ayahuasca and how does it work? So ayahuasca is two plants. It's a vine and a leaf that are combined, and the tribes along the Amazon, they hammer it down to open up the plant, and they heat it up and essentially make soup out of it. There are high levels of DMT that basically we ingest. And
what is DMT?
DMT is dimethyltryptamine, I believe. So when we die, our pineal gland releases DMT is a substance that exists in all living things, including us. When we die, our pineal gland, which many in the spirit world call the third eye chakra, releases high levels of DMT, and that's basically the experience that you have when you drink ayahuasca, because it's consuming DMT, and then one of the two plants is a blocker so that it actually slows the process of ingesting it down, and we have this beautiful experience of the human ego lifting off of us, and now we're communicating with this other consciousness. Everything has consciousness. Everything is consciousness. And the experience that people have when they drink ayahuasca is communicating with another consciousness, just like you're a consciousness. And
so would they have psychedelic visions, things like this?
Yeah. Typically there are psychedelic visions. A lot of people will see spirit animals and animal spirits and other types of spirits in general, and you'll distinctly be communicating in your mind with someone who is talking to you. I think this is generally most people's experience. And what you're talking about is the things that have had a grip on you for your entire life, and to become more free of these things, these are the places to look. The very first example that I will never forget, the very first time I ever drank ayahuasca, is I was laying in an area that was on the way to the bathroom for people, and I was on a yoga mat, and I'm quite tall, or laying down, I'm quite long. And so had my legs curled up so that if anyone needs to go to the bathroom, I'm not tripping them. And all of a sudden I hear a voice in my head that says, "Spread out." And I was like, that's weird. I didn't move. And then the voice said, I said, "Spread out." So I said, okay, I'm listening. I spread my whole body out. And I stopped giving so much attention and energy to being concerned about others. I was here to have my experience, right? Spread out. I'm here for me. What that taught me is take up space. Like my energy, and I at that time I felt very strongly that it was like your masculine energy needs to take up space, because it's a grounded, balanced masculine energy that can hold quite a container for myself and for others. And ever since that, boom, it just became part of who I am. So that's an example of, I didn't have to do any shadow inner child healing work around. There's probably things tied to it, but I never had to go into learning why I felt as if I had to be small. I just got that huge download from ayahuasca, from spirit, to be like, Matt, boom, take up space. It's time.
Yeah. That's beautiful. And using your methodology that you developed, how would you integrate that in the months following?
So I would look, because again, ayahuasca typically is not doing the healing for you. It's showing you where there is to look to do the work for yourself. So what I would do, and I probably did this was several years ago, so I would have to really think and remember, but what I would do is, that was a giant message that I got. I would write it down, journal about, okay, that was a big message. And then I would go look back and see if there's any memories in my life that I could come up with where I had an interaction with either another person or a situation that occurred that caused me to tell myself, oh my God, I have to be small. Or I probably wouldn't tell myself I have to be small, but I maybe told myself, I can't be so loud. I can't be so crazy. I have to be quieter. These are how it would show up for a child, where a child's mind would tell yourself, wow, I need to shut down myself a bit. Yeah. And then those memories, and again, the ones that are really vivid, the ones that I can remember like they were yesterday, those are the ones that have the biggest impact on who we are and how we're showing up in the world.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, thank you.